Welcome back to the Badass Literature Society, where badasses come together to rate and review novels recommended by you. Hi, I'm Michael.
This is Barbara.
And I'm Lauren.
Welcome to a special bonus episode. In this episode, we're going to imagine hosting a dinner party and inviting fictional characters from different books to join us. The concept is to have a fun and imaginative discussion about the guests at the table, their interactions, and how their unique personalities would create an interesting dynamic at the dinner table. So how we're going to structure this is we're going to go in order and say our first guest we've invited, our second guest we've invited, and then our third guest we've invited. And then once we figure out who all is sitting at the table, then we're going to have a discussion about how this dinner is going to go. I should say up front for the listeners, unlike normal podcast episodes where we have our notes all typed out, none of us know the guests that we've chosen, that the other people have chosen to invite to our dinner party. So this could truly lead to some pandemonium at the end.
I woke up and chose violence today, so I hope you guys...
And Barbara's chosen a bunch of super evil villains. Thanos is all around the table.
I didn't say that. Thanos is not a literary person.
She went to the true crime section in the library and just picked out a bunch of real life people that are going to be there.
I'm just kidding. Thanos is because he's based on a comic book, and that's literature.
That would be a choice.
I forget because he's a movie. That's how I know Thanos. So.
He is a literary character.
I know. I retract my statement because he is.
But anyway, let's get into our guest list. So, Barbara, who is your first guest to our dinner party?
So my first guest is Nakia from A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon, because I feel like I want someone who's politically can hold her own in conversations and twist your words just for the fun of it. And I feel like she would be an amazing character for that, because I absolutely loved how good at that she is. Because as someone who is not good at that kind of stuff, I am the Dumai in that relationship. Nakia is, I wish I was more like that. Someone who can hold their own in conversations like this and just thinks quickly on their toes for political intrigue. So I feel like that's why I picked her.
I was going to say, yeah, politically intriguing, used to, hoity-toity dinner parties with fancy people.
Yes, this is her bread and butter. This is what she's good at. And I would just love to see her tear people apart. So...
Well, speaking of tearing people apart, I'm coming in hard with my first guest. I'm inviting Hannibal Lecter.
Oh.
Character from
literally. Michael, you stole my joke. I was going to say that I tried to invite Hannibal Lecter, but he didn't like what we were serving.
Well, he actually. We'll see what's a potluck. Maybe he brought his own dish. No one else should try it.
I even had it queued up so I could just put it.
I can insert that in if you want me to.
Michael ruined it. I think. Can we start over and I can start? No, I'm just kidding.
That's my first guest is Hannibal Lecter.
So I don't know anything about that character. So outside of him eating people, like what is he as a person? Like is he like Nakia, who is good at talking to people, like schmoozing?
Yes, very much so.
He's a very charismatic person, manipulative.
Very charismatic, very manipulative. I think it would be safe to characterize him as a genius. He's painted as someone who has an extremely high IQ.
Okay.
And it's not necessarily his... What makes him scary and what makes him dangerous is not like his brawn and strength. It's his mind and the fact that he'll twist you. Like there's a scene in Silence of the Lambs where I don't know how detailed I'll get into this because parental advisory restrictions on the podcast, but like Clarice Starling, the Jodie Foster character in the movie, there's an inmate that's in the cell next to his that does something really disgusting to her as she's walking in to see him. And that deeply makes him unhappy because even though he is this awful serial killer who does eat people, I feel like a lot of those characters that are also extremely intelligent still have their own morality and their own rules. And that was disrespectful. And so he didn't touch this guy because he couldn't. Obviously, they're in solitary confinement, but he whispered through the cell, and it's not said in the book or the movie what he says to him, but he whispers something to him. And at the end of these whispers, the guy commits suicide. Like he kills himself that night. And so I should also mention he's a therapist. He's a a psychiatrist. Is it psychiatrist or psychologist? Do you remember, Lauren?
I don't remember which.
He's either a
Psychiatrist
psychiatrist
is a
or a
med provider.
psychologist.
Yeah, I was going to say, so he's probably a psychologist.
Psychologist is probably what he is. But
Yeah.
he's the type of character that you could go a full dinner without realizing that he is a cannibal.
A psychopath.
Or a psychopath.
Yeah, he's a psychiatrist. Charming. Dr. Hannibal Lecter.
He would be very charming. He would be very
You can be a doctor and be a psychologist. You know that, right?
Yes.
All you need to be a doctor is get a PhD, Michael.
He was a respected forensic psychiatrist.
Okay. So he did med prescribing. Yeah, psychologists are doctors as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my first guest for,
So him and Nikia would have fun.
Yeah, I mean, maybe hopefully not too much fun.
Oh, what do you mean? Is that am I missing the innuendo?
No innuendo, just that he, if they hit it off too well, then
he will eat
Actually, no, I guess if they hit it off well, he probably wouldn't want to kill her. So that would be good if they were friendly. Yeah.
Maybe.
Anyway, Lauren, who is your first guest?
Surprisingly, Hermione Granger. I know it's a shock to everyone.
I am shocked.
Shooketh. I was actually back and forth on who I wanted to bring, but she's super intelligent. She's a badass female character. She's going to bring a lot of good, thought-provoking conversations, while she also holds like an air of innocence still, because she is a kid / teenager. Gotta have like the side of sass, so she's always got that. I think that I just like remember the dinner party scenes.
The ice cream
the dinner party with, I cannot think of what's Slughorn.
It's Slughorn. I guess it's ice cream in the movies, but in the books it's a whole dinner.
Yeah, it's a whole dinner party in the books with Slughorn and the whole dynamics there. So I think she'll be a good addition.
I like how our first three people are very intelligent and good with words people.
Yeah, we did pick three extremely highly intelligent people for our first guest.
All of mine are that way.
So to recap, we have Nikia from A Day of Fallen Night. We have Hannibal Lecter, Dr. Hannibal Lecter from that series of books. And we have Hermione Granger from the Harry Potter series are our first three guests. For me, my second guest is going to be from a book we just read, actually, and we're actually reviewing it later this month. Dai Shi is his name. He is a police officer in Beijing. He's from the Three Body Problem series, I guess specifically from the first book, since that's the only one I'm aware of. I haven't read the other ones yet. But Dai Shi's a police officer. He is kind of the opposite of the first three that we've picked. He's not someone you would consider
I wouldn't say that. He's a very intelligent person.
If you'd let me finish my thought.
Okay.
He's not traditionally educated like the first three that we chose.
I don't know if Nikia's educated.
They're not.
I don't know the education system there with dragons.
Nikia, Hannibal, and Hermione Granger are all formally educated. They all come from, with the exception of Hermione, hoity-toity family. They have very pretentious backgrounds. They know how to carry themselves. Dai Shi is the opposite. Dai Shi is a blue-collar common man. He's not incredibly well-educated, but he makes up for that lack of well-education by having street smarts. He's a very street smarts individual. He's a detective. He's a police officer in Beijing. Like I said, he in the book, the reason I thought he'd be a fun dinner party guest is he says whatever the hell he wants. He doesn't really care whether you're, some thug he's dealing with on the street or his boss or the president of a country. It doesn't matter. He's going to tell you exactly what's on his mind, and I think that could be extremely entertaining. But yeah, that's Dai Shi. That's my second guest. Lauren, who is your guest number two?
My guest number two is the narrator / Tyler Durden from Fight Club. Chuck Palahniuk. I really thought that I would shit up with that one. Sorry, that is probably going to have to get removed.
No, we can say the S word.
No, I said the F.
Oh, the F word? No.
Once is okay. It's still PG-13.
I think that he will provide endless entertainment for the evening and will also facilitate thought-provoking conversations, maybe even some heated debates, but also keeping things light with his sense of humor. And yeah.
So will we get both versions of him then?
Never a dull moment with him. I think that we're going to stick, if I have to choose one, I think we'll stick with maybe just Tyler Durden personality.
So it's good. You choose the narrator, but specifically the Tyler Durden side.
Correct.
Interesting. What makes it more
chaotic?
Yeah, for sure.
Indeed.
All right, Barbara, who's your second guest?
So mine is nothing chaotic. I wanted someone who's neutral. So my pick, and unfortunately your sister doesn't know who this is because she wasn't here for when we read this book, but it would be Bree Matthews from the Legendborn series by Tracy Dion. We did a bonus episode of that one with Michael and I, so your sister doesn't know who she is, but she, like Hermione, is just someone younger, so she's a young adult, but I feel like she would add a lot of nuance in conversations because she has this fiery personality, and she feels slighted with the world that she lives in, as she should be, being a woman, someone of color, and dealing with the things that she had to deal with her book. Plus, she has magic powers, and like, I need someone with magic powers, you know? So that would be fun because if something goes crazy, like Hannibal Lecter, she can just like shfing, kill him. Because no one else has magic powers as far as I'm aware of.
That is, yeah, no, that's our first person with well, I mean, Hermione.
Hermione has magic. Yeah, so her and Hermione I feel like her and Hermione would team up and just, you know, really go to town. But
they're also the only two characters that we've invited so far that are like the good guys.
Yes, yes. I wanted a good, like, so my first character is what I love is great, morally gray characters, right? The second one is my really, like, your hero type shtick. Did I say that right? Shtick.
You did that time, yeah.
Okay, cool. So that person, you know, you have your hero character, and then, you know, of course, not to give out, but I do have a villain. So that's kind of how I wanted to do my pick. So
if you'll visualize with me our dinner table, we have Nakia sitting in the first chair. We have Hannibal Lecter sitting next to her. We have Hermione on the other side of Hannibal Lecter. And then we have Daishi, the police officer from the Three Body Problem. And then we have Tyler Durden from Fight Club. And then finally, we have Bree from Legendborn. Got a really interesting group of people, all different styles of, all personalities, all different professions, all different ages. We've got a very eclectic group so far. Let's round it up with our round it out rather with our third guest, Lauren.
Oh, I get to come to the dinner? Oh, just kidding.
Yeah, that's my pick. It's you.
Me. Okay, my third guest is another Harry Potter character, Minerva McGonagall. And it's because she's the GOAT. She is she's gonna be an amazing counterpart to my other two choices because she's level-headed and she's witty, and her ability to keep the peace between people is great. She's very like reasonable and logical and most generally calm, right? And then I feel like also she would be a really good time after a few Gen Fizzes. So.
I feel like that is true.
So now we've got our mother figure who's going to be attempting anyway to keep everyone in check.
My last one, my evil, chaotic character would be Kane, the bad guy from 13 by Steve Kavanaugh. He is someone who literally can't feel any pain. So, you know, if Hannibal Lecter wants to stab him with a fork or a knife, go for it, because he's not going to feel it.
Our second serial killer.
Psychopath. Yes, my psychopath serial killer who has no feelings, and I feel like he would bring a lot to the table in conversations of that choice and that matter. And I feel like he's one of those really self-absorbed narcissist personality who thinks he's so much better than everyone because he can't feel things, and I would just love to see how he interacts with other people. So there's my foil to my other characters. Got my morally gray, my goody two hero that needs to be there, and then my evil villain.
It's kind of funny because you said that, and I inadvertently did the same thing. I didn't realize that I did the same thing.
Oh, I did. Mine was on purpose.
Yeah, mine was not. I've got Hannibal Lecter, the evil character. I've got Daishi, who's kind of a gray character. Like he's not like a. But anyway, and then for my final guest is Bruce Wayne / Batman. But he's attending as Bruce Wayne. But we'll assume that he's got his Batman stuff. Batman. If shit hits the fan, he can quickly.
So he's not Batman. He's the millionaire.
He's attending as Bruce Wayne.
But
billionaire playboy
like,
Bruce Wayne.
The young version of him, where he was like kind of inksy, or like older Bruce Wayne, where he's the playboy millionaire who is charismatic.
So we'll say, no, he's not the angsty young Bruce Wayne. He's kind of the Bruce Wayne. We'll say Bruce Wayne in his 30s, where he's established as Batman, but not old man Bruce Wayne.
Gotcha.
Yet. Yeah. So that's I think that will provide some nice balance to the table, especially since no one there will know his true secret identity.
Oh, Minerva McGonagall will know.
I don't know. I don't remember. Can people in Harry Potter read other people's minds? Is that a thing?
Yes, it's called Legitimacy.
Legitimacy.
And Snape and Queenie from the Fantastical Beasts can. And apparently what's his face.
But McGonagall and Hermione cannot.
McGonagall and Hermione could pour some
truth
something in his drink.
But they probably wouldn't at a dinner party, like this random person that they just met. They're probably not gonna. Plus, I feel like if you've, this is getting way too detailed probably, but Batman in the comics, he has a very strong physique and a strong mind, so it might be hard to get inside that head and figure out.
I mean, you just have to bring up Martha and then he loses it, so.
That's in one movie.
Martha is his Lily.
One movie.
If you don't get that reference, I feel sad.
You can't be friends with us. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, so the table is set. The invites have been sent. The party is starting. Just one more recap. We've got Nicaea from A Day of Fallen Night. We have Hannibal Lecter. We have Hermione Granger. We have Bree from Legendborn. We have Daishi, the police officer from Three Body Problem. We have Tyler Durden, specifically that side of the personality from Fight Club. We have Minerva McGonagall. We have Bruce Wayne. And then lastly, we have, what was his name? I cannot think of his name. Kane. We have Kane from the serial killer from the book we read on the podcast, 13. So all of our dinner guests have arrived. They are mingling in the lounge in our fancy house we're imagining this dinner party's in. It's cocktail hour. How do we think all of these characters are interacting? What conversations might they be having?
I feel like there's definitely going to be some societal / political conversations going on just in general with the dynamics that we have.
That's probably right.
I feel like Kane did some investigating, figured out who all these people were, and is somehow going to try to kill somebody and pin it on Hannibal Lecter, as one does.
So Kane's going to turn it into like a Clue murder mystery?
Like an actual murder mystery party?
Yeah, exactly. Because, exactly what he did in the book. He's going to, like, prepare for all of this and somehow plan a murder to pin it on somebody else. And the most pinnable person would be Hannibal Lecter.
I mean, but you wouldn't know that because Hannibal Lecter at this party is just a fancy,
but he would,
high society guest. Oh, he would just know. Okay. I see. All right.
I feel like Hermione and Bree would kind of gravitate towards one another since they're the closest in age.
That's probably true. And that's actually the first prompt I was going to ask is which ones do you think would hit it off and become fast friends? And you could start with them. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead. No,
I feel like they would be because they're the closest in age. Because I think Nicaea's the odd man out here because I think she's, well, in the start of the book, she's 26-ish or something like that. So she's a little bit older.
Yeah.
And Kane is an old man technically, just to fit older gentleman.
I think that, Tyler Durden is not an old person. I think he's still considered a late 20s, early 30s. So he would be close.
Okay.
I'm not sure it's ever said, but that's kind of like it's written in a way that I think the idea is that if, as you're reading it, you could picture yourself in that role. So it could be any age, but
I see.
The movie definitely solidified it as that it's someone who's in their late 20s, early 30s.
Okay. So, yeah, I think they would become fast friends.
See, I was going to say that Tyler Durden and Kane would hit it off because
they would.
Because they could have that scene from the book, and Kane could say, "I want you to hit me as hard as you can," and then they can have that whole moment, and Kane will feel nothing. So it won't be like this poignant moment for them because it's not going to be like feeling pain and feeling alive like the narrator and Tyler Durden in the book. It's gonna be the opposite. He's gonna hit him, and he's just gonna stand there, and that'll probably spark a conversation between the two of them as to their different brands of violence, I guess.
I feel like Durden would definitely be skeptical about the magical world, so I think there would be like some conversations around that too, especially so like that, and even Hannibal Lecter too. Just being more of the intelligent, like very brain-based, realistic type thing. I feel like they're gonna be like talking about like shooting the shit, like, oh, where are you from? Where are you from? And oh, I'm from the magical world of Hogwarts, right?
Well,
And then
Would
would
they
they say
say
that
that
though?
though? Because
Yeah, that's what I was going to
technically
ask.
they're supposed to not tell
Like,
muggles about it.
Hermione's at a Muggle party, right?
Yeah.
Like,
that's true.
I think Hermione would do a better job of fitting in since she actually came from
She probably would fit
true.
in
this
better.
world, whereas Minerva, I think, was always.
I don't know. I feel like that McGonagall would get a couple drinks in and she'd be like revealing all the things. Maybe not.
She would definitely be like, language.
So I think that
Yes.
McGonagall and Hannibal might chat it up a little bit because they're both
Interesting.
they're older, they're going to be both like have similar like I feel like McGonagall is kind of like she holds herself well. She's got like high class things that she's interested in. I think that and she's also extremely intelligent. So I think
Who's into sports? Because Minerva's all about that. Or sorry, McGonagall's all about that. Like she's a sporty queen.
I don't know if any of the people that we invited are into sports actually.
Not really. It doesn't. I mean,
No.
Bruce Wayne would be the closest because he's very athletic in his side gig, but
I think that he's pretended to be into sports when he's playing as Bruce Wayne, so he could probably talk. I mean, he's the when he's playing up his Bruce Wayne billionaire persona, he would very much be able to blend into any conversation and interact with anybody. So on that token, like they could hit it off about that. So perhaps that would be a conversation that would happen. Flip side of that, are there any characters that would be clashing? There'd be some headbutting, some heated debates between the two of them because of their core values or something.
I think it depends on what conversations get sparked, because if you're just like saving face and trying not to step on anyone's toes, people might not actually show their hands. But if they're start getting political or start
featured guest Luna, everybody.
Right. I feel like Tyler Durden would be in conflict with a lot of people, and because he just likes to create chaos. So I feel like that character, regardless of a conversation that comes up, is going to be more apt to like challenge someone's beliefs or challenge their thought processes or like say something that's provoking. And so I think that he may be at odds with people just because of the way that the personality is.
Yeah.
Just constantly seeking chaos and wanting to cause fights and discord and challenge people's inner beliefs that they make them feel safe.
I think specifically he and Bruce Wayne would butt heads because Bruce Wayne as the billionaire playboy would be like the very image of the system that Tyler Durden seeks to bring down. And so I think that
True.
There would definitely be, maybe not like, I don't think it would like they'd get in a fight or something, but I think it'd be a very heated conversation. Now it's my
your turn.
It could be a very heated conversation between the two of them, talking about like classes and how that all works and about capitalism and all that.
I feel like Brie would jump into that because she very much doesn't like that system either. And so I feel like that would be an interesting narrative for all three of them.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I was going to say, I also think that I mentioned in the last section that Tyler Durden and Kane, I think they might initially hit it off, but I think the fact that Kane does feel no pain might actually eventually lead to a conflict between he and Tyler Durden, because like his part of his whole like mantra is that you have to be able to feel pain to know you're alive, and Kane can't. So that could be again, they're not going to get in a physical altercation. I don't think. Maybe they would. Who knows? But
Nakia would just drop some nuggets and then just sit back and watch like the chaos unfold after she did.
I feel like Kane would somehow come up in conversation that Kane would not feel pain, and then Tyler Durden's gonna be like, "Oh yeah," and then like, "I'll make you feel pain," and then that's gonna cause like a altercation, maybe.
I think also in the same token, for the same reason that Tyler Durden and Bruce Wayne would have an altercation, I think Dai-Shi and Bruce Wayne as well, potentially. I think maybe Dai-Shi and McGonagall would actually have more issues, but either him and McGonagall or him and Hannibal Lecter.
Really?
Just because of the
McGonagall and Dai-Shi might actually get along. I feel like
it would depend. It would depend what he said, because he very much speaks his mind, and sometimes that comes across as rude. Like it's mentioned in the book many times that people think that he's being rude when he isn't maybe intending to. And I think that just for him and Hannibal anyway, the difference in class, the class difference and the cultural difference was going to lead to a little bit of maybe not a disagreement, but he's probably going to follow him home and eat him. I think that if he was going to target anyone at the party to do that to, it would either be Daishi or Kane, I think.
I don't think he would target Kane because isn't the whole thing of his like for people feeling pain? So when he's cutting you up, Kane's not gonna feel anything. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know anything
may not
about
give
Hannibal.
him as much satisfaction as someone else.
That's possibly not. I think Daishi's probably would be the top target. So who do we think would be the life of the party of these 9 guests? Who's going to be the shining star, telling jokes, getting everybody involved?
I mean, I feel like Tyler Durden is pretty witty and likes to be the center of attention.
Yeah.
In a kind of roundabout way, but I don't know.
I feel like we kind of picked a lot of broody characters. I think if Nakia had to play that role because she's really good at playing different roles than she would if no one else took that mantle.
Yeah.
Like she would. Just because, like, they called her a woman of many faces, so she can put on different roles and hats.
So she could be the life of the party.
She could be if she needed to be, if no one else would step up to be that person. Because, like, everyone else, I feel like, are a little broody. Definitely not Bruce Wayne.
Well, I was actually going to say on that same line of thinking, Bruce Wayne could be, because he is also able to wear many faces, both literally and figuratively. And when he's acting as billionaire playboy Bruce Wayne, he often is the life of the party.
Well, there you go. Maybe he would be.
So it could be him. It could be Nakia. It could be Daishi if we're surveying alcohol, because he's probably going to have a little too much to drink, and then maybe be the life of the party at that point. But
I feel like in the books he holds his liquor, though, doesn't he?
He does hold his liquor, but that's when he tends to get, like, the more rambunctious moments we get from him are usually after they've gone out drinking. Maybe. I don't know. Are there any characters that might form unexpected connections or find common ground that may be odd or not initially noticeable?
I think we kind of already touched base on that, didn't we? Like when we were just talking about like what they would, like
the unexpected kind of people.
I guess that's true.
Along.
Yeah,
I think
we did.
I mean, as far as common ground goes, I don't know. I feel like I'm trying to feel like where Hermione fits in
would
here.
fit in here. Yeah,
and she and Tyler, I feel like, would be at odds because she's very much like a rule follower, respecting authority, respecting education, respecting like following the rules. Like she doesn't always follow the rules right in the books, and obviously we like seeing her come into her own and breaking rules later on when it's necessary. But like at her core, she is like a good girl, rule follower, like sort of thing. And Tyler Durden is very much anti-consumerist, anarchist. Like we don't need authority, we don't need all of those things. So like I think they could maybe have common ground on the fact that they're both really passionate about things.
I was gonna say with Unjustice though, she definitely falls in that category because in the movies never did this. So if you only ever watched the movies, then you don't know. But like she was with her spew that she was trying to fix with all the injustices for other creatures in the magical world.
That is true.
She went about it, I feel like, not in the best of ways, but with the best of intentions. But,
her spew is like his Fight Club, right? He's trying to get people to realize that the machine is broken and they don't need to be whatever. And she's trying to get elves to realize that they can be liberated. Tyler Durden's trying to liberate people from themselves. And she's trying to liberate people from slavery. So, yeah, common ground there, I guess.
And I also think, like Barbara mentioned earlier, that if somehow they find out Hermione and Bree just determine that they're both like magic users, because like their backstories are not that crazy different. Like they're both they weren't like born into this. They're not like the Malfoy family. They're not the high high class. They're I mean, I think Bree in a lot of ways is very similar to Hermione in that she doesn't necessarily have like the family. She doesn't come from the pure bloodline. She's not one of the members of I don't remember what they
No.
were called in Legendborn, that other
I
group.
mean, it's the
The Knights.
Arthurian, the
Yeah.
Knights, round table.
So I think that's if maybe they're having like a private conversation and it comes out that, then that could be a connection for the two of them.
Yeah.
That would be an unexpected connection for them, because I think that they probably would both attend this party not expecting to see someone that's also a magic user, and it's a whole different system of magic that they didn't know existed. Yeah. So that could be interesting. I also think we already covered the last one too, who'd be more reserved and mysterious. I think a lot of our guests would be potentially reserved and mysterious.
Yeah.
Yeah, that or putting on like a front that's not
a persona of
actually who they are, sort of thing.
The show put on the persona just to gauge people. I think all of these characters would potentially do that, just to see where they stand with certain people.
Figure out the pecking order, kind of a deal. Yeah.
Or just like, okay, like what makes them tick, what makes them do this.
So next we're gonna do a little D&D style.
What?
Where we can just say, I choose for so and so to murder someone.
We're a role play dinner party.
Role play dinner party.
I was like, what are you? A role playing.
I thought that was funny. You have to cut that out.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking like, well, so we know what conversations they might have, but like if we came up with an actual scene, we could talk through what that might even look like.
It would be entertaining, I think, to see this group of people interacting. If you could somehow put, like, if all 9 of them were real and you could somehow put them in a room together, it would be...
authors have done that where they take their characters, or like they create these characters and a bunch of other authors kind of insert their characters in their story, and then you have like a chapter of your own point of view of your character, but then you have to talk to the other author and be like, okay, like, so how would your character function in these situations and stuff like that. I really like reading those types of stories, just because it would be interesting to create a character, you have your chapter, and then you have to like add other people's that they've created, so it's not your characters and you don't know their motivations and how they would react to what you're happening in your chapter, and then someone else's chapter is moving the whole story forward, but then it's their character's point of view and you have to still interact with those characters that you didn't write. So
that would be that would be really interesting. Well, if one of you wants to write a short story about the dinner party that we've concocted today, that would be, I would read it. I would love to read that.
Get
story.
right on it.
Or if you're listening right now and you're like, I could totally write that story, write it and then send it to us. I'd love to read that story.
Problem is these are a very eclectic group of people all over the place for genres and.
So the last thing I wanted to ask, because we kind of covered the highlights, is there anyone on your list, any of your guests that you regret inviting? Or now that you know everyone who's going to be there, is there someone you wish you would have invited instead?
I don't think so. I feel like we got a good group just to make it different.
Lauren, any changes? Or
now that I see the makeup of the dinner party, Hermione, while she is very mature, perhaps would not be the best addition, just because, there may be some crazy stuff that goes down and she's still a kid, unless we're going with adult Hermione. So I think
we could say adult Hermione.
Yeah.
See, I should have, I'm thinking, number one, I'm surprised that Barbara didn't pick any Harry Potter people as well, but I should have thought that the two of you would do that. And then I should have brought Voldemort instead of Hannibal, because that would have been like, can you imagine like McGonagall and Hermione strolling into this dinner party together and Voldemort's there having a conversation with Tyler Durden about what's wrong with the world?
With no nose.
yeah, with no nose.
That would
the full
be
look. I'm sure that would come up at some point, unless our guests are too polite. I mean, you could make a joke that like Hannibal ate his nose. That's what everything wants.
I got your nose.
Literally. Well, that's our fictional literary dinner party that we threw together. That was a lot of fun, guys, talking through that and pretending what this scenario might look like. Hopefully you, the listeners, enjoyed that as well. If there's anyone that you would have invited to this dinner party or anything that you could add to the mix, let us know. Comment on our Instagram or send us a message on what changes you might have made. But also make sure you're following Badass Literature for free in your favorite podcast app. give us a rating and leave us a review if they allow you to. Super important for us. It lets us know how we're doing and also helps other people find our podcast. Also, don't forget to be following us on social media if you're not already. Our username is at BadassLitPod on both Instagram and Facebook.
Have feedback about today's episode? Well, you can contact us by writing to badassliteraturesociety@gmail.com. You can also send us a DM or leave a comment on Instagram or Facebook.
As always, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you later this month for our full review. I'm Michael.
I am Barbara.
And I'm Lauren.
Bye.
Bye.
We should have answered who would have most likely been the dead one who died. Because, there's with these 3 people, someone would have been dead, yeah. Just saying. Although I don't want to kill anyone, that's the problem.
So, let's see. Weakest link of these characters. Are we saying, who Kane's going to target, or who?
I mean, Hannibal and Kane would probably be wanting to murder someone, right? Isn't that their whole foray?
Yeah. I said Hannibal's probably going to kill Daishi. I think they're probably going to not have a great interaction.
I think
But, Hannibal could also try to kill Kane, because he doesn't have any respect for killers that are not him, because he thinks that they're subpar and pathetic.
I feel like Kane would try to kill Bruce Wayne and pin it on Hannibal or Tyler Durden is who the clue would be.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he could probably easily pin it on Tyler Durden if the conversation that we thought was going to happen happened, where Tyler and Bruce got into an argument about classes and capitalism and how billionaires shouldn't exist and all of that would probably happen. So,
and then Daishi would know that it was Kane all along.
Because he's a great problem solver, and he unfortunately will never get to make that arrest because Hannibal ate him later that night.
And our 4 female characters would be like, let the guys decide and just walk away from it. And they go hang out by themselves.
So I put my request into ChatGPT and it's writing me a story.
About this?
About our party. Yeah.
About this.
The guests were all seated at the table and the conversation was flowing. Hannibal Lecter was discussing his latest culinary creations with Hermione Granger. Tyler Durden was talking about his latest Fight Club, and Bruce Wayne was discussing his latest gadgets with Minerva McGonagall. Joshua Kane was discussing his latest murder case with Hannibal Lecter. As the night went on, the guests became more relaxed and started to enjoy themselves. Hannibal Lecter prepared a delicious meal for everyone, and they all enjoyed it immensely. Hermione Granger was impressed with Hannibal's cooking skills and asked him for some tips. Tyler Durden was impressed with Bruce Wayne's gadgets and asked him if he could borrow some for his next Fight Club. As the night drew to a close, the guests said their goodbyes and left the party. They all agreed that it had been... It's still typing.
I like how it's just those 3 main characters because those are the most well-known people. Yeah. Everyone else isn't.
A wonderful evening, and that it's still typing. Yeah, it probably just did the most recognizable.
Right, those are the most recognizable people.
Kane was in there though.
That's true.
They should do it again sometime. Oh, it's still going.
I wonder if it's thinking Kane as in Cain and Abel.
No,
because I put Joshua Kane.
It said Kane had to solve his next case though, and he wasn't a detective or a police officer.
No, he wasn't. Yeah.
So maybe Joshua Kane is a different character in a different book.
Maybe from some other thing. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I just thought it would be entertaining.
I was entertaining.
That's funny.